Yeah, simply ball dropping. What's up, family? K-Sap, we up! Ain't no stopping. I'm simply ball dropping like it's New Year's Eve, making you haters believe I'm the MVP. Ask Mr. V and R&B, they do all sports, rather it's on the field or the court, from the arena to the ring. What? You wanna swing? I rope a dope like the one on this boxing thing. That's a punchline. I'm the greatest of all times. Got something on your mind? Hit us up on the line for that round table talk. Ask B Hunt and Sheena and K-Sap too for their views on our dudes. Marriage Chronicles for you lovers. Oh, I'm married to the game. The championships, the only time I wanna ring. K-Sap, the man behind the mic. Check 1, 2. It ain't a rap until I say it's a rap. Just fall through, pull up the hottest pod smoking. Yeah, I got you open. This freestyle brought to you by James Ford. Paid promotion. Yeah, simply ball dropping. You know what time it is. Pull up, chop it up with your family, man. K-Sap, what up?
And now, your host of the Simply Ball Droppin' Podcast, the man behind the mic, K-Sap. This episode is sponsored by True Choice Insurance. Here at True Choice, we take a different philosophy when it comes to providing you with your insurance options. We emphasize the value of the products we offer, instead of playing on the fear of you not being protected in your time of need. True Choice is affiliated with more than 60 insurance companies. This makes us one of the most independent agencies in the state of Texas. Please visit TrueChoiceInsurance.com for all your insurance needs.
Yo, good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Simple Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. And welcome to another edition of the Sports Podcast. Got a wonderful show for you today. I'm going to take this time out to thank everybody that's been rocking with us, everybody that's been supporting the channel, all my faithful listeners, all my faithful subscribers, all my sponsors. Without you guys, none of this will be possible. But once you look at the podcast, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It only helps the channel grow. Been having a lot of people hitting me up about the podcast, saying you're doing big things, and the podcast is out there. The podcast is on YouTube, man. We on YouTube faithfully. So tell a friend to tell a friend, man. Just keep supporting. And get this video popping. You know how YouTube is. You gotta get in that algorithm. You gotta break that algorithm, man. But appreciate everybody that's tuning in. Everybody that's been rocking with me, like I said. Appreciate your support. I see everybody in the comments, #salute. And we're gonna get this show popping. Recently, a lot of players, NBA players, NFL players, they be on these podcasts. And a lot of players, they have a lot of things to say, rightfully so, because the podcast game is a big platform, huge platform, man. So you're able to speak your truth, you're able to speak, how you feel and your perspective on a lot of things, because you play the game. I mean, you play the game of basketball, you play the game of football, you play the game of baseball, you box, you're the athlete. And one of the podcasts that I follow a lot is Draymond Green's podcast. And Draymond has a lot of interesting things that he says. And if you really look at the totality of it, Draymond speaks a lot of truth. And Draymond knows how to articulate a lot of things that he says. So it comes off and it makes sense. And he has a lot of people on his podcast. Recently, he was on his podcast, talking about, with the Warriors situation. He said it's inevitable. He's not going to be a Warrior forever. You know what I'm saying? He says he sees the writing on the wall, but he's just keeping it real. He's keeping it 100%. And some of the things that Draymond say could be controversial, just like when he first started his podcast, when he was talking about the new media. And a lot of people in the media outlets didn't like that because they didn't know where Draymond was coming from when he was talking about the new media. The new media are guys that played the game, were fresh out the game, and the athletes that been in the game and now out the game, and they have these podcasts and they voice their opinions because they played the sport. If you look at the majority of these shows with some of these hosts and co-hosts, they've been journalists all their life. They ain't played the sports at a high level, but they do give their intellect from a journalist standpoint and the media standpoint. And what their job is to come on and they critique people. Just like Kwame Brown was on the Pivot podcast. He was talking about, Stephen A. Smith. When they started using that word, Kwame Brown was a bust. And going to these local schools and stuff. And Kwame Brown still has an answer for that. Why was Stephen A. going to these schools and these colleges? What was that all about? Kwame still don't have an answer to that. But if you really look at the podcast that Kwame Brown was on with the Pivot, that was a great podcast. So I recommend you guys to go check that out because Kwame Brown was speaking a lot of stuff that people don't understand. I mean, Kwame Brown, if you look at Kwame Brown, you never thought that Kwame Brown would speak the way he speaks. And he articulates the words the way he articulates his words. And it makes a lot of sense. And he's always said that the media, puts itself against these athletes, especially of the black athletes, and just goes on the media rampage and breaks these black athletes down. And he had a good point talking about nobody is going to want to do business with somebody that you consider a bust. But when Ryan Leaf came into the NFL and he didn't pan out, nobody labeled him as a bust. But he's able to go back to his community and teach these kids the game of football. And these parents are, putting these kids out there with Ryan Leaf because he doesn't have that word bust associated with him. But Kwame Brown said it's hard for him to, get deals and stuff because of the word bust. People ain't going to do business with a bust. But Kwame Brown speaks to the youth. And Kwame Brown said when he was growing up, he had a hectic childhood. And he was forced to be a man at 14, go out and get a job and help his mother pay, the bills because, his father was locked up. His brothers that he looked up to, they was locked up. So Kwame Brown said he was ready. So instead of him going to college, he had scholarships to go to these major colleges, but he went to the NBA and, he was picked by the Washington Wizards. And that situation, how that situation worked out, panned out. Kwame was bounced around, but to label somebody as a bust, but hold down a job in the NBA for 12 years, I don't consider them a bust. I never thought Kwame was a bust. It's just the situations that he'd been in. But the reason why we're on this podcast today, I want to talk about the recent podcast John Wall was on. John Wall had a lot of things to say about his situation. He was formerly of the Houston Rockets, and then he finally got an opportunity this year with the Los Angeles Clippers. And the years that, he had to set with the Houston Rockets, it taught him a lot, but he had a lot to say. So they was asking him a question, when he was in DC. When he was in DC, John Wall, him and Brad Bill, they was doing some things. But let's take a close listen to what John Wall had to say about the 2016-17 Washington Wizards when it came up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is what John Wall had to say.
Who's the best they had a chance?
In DC?
Yeah.
At 16-17? Who's going to beat the shit out of Bron? I'm telling you, if you do an interview with anybody from the Cavs, there was one team they did not want to see on the East.
For sure.
They did not want to see us. Me and Kyrie, we matching up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking Brad over JR.
Yeah.
You got Bron over Trevor Reed. I'm taking, who.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Love and Marquise Morris. I'm taking Kevin Love, but Marquise Morris can shoot threes and post up.
Yeah.
I'm taking Gortat over Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
And our bench was deeper than theirs. We had Bogey, Kelly Oubre. You know what I mean? So I'm like, and then you look at every game we played that year, it was always a 1-2 point game. They broke out 18 game home game winning streak when Bron hit that bait and shot. Bitch, talking about I work on this shit every day. I told you that shit was luck. He said, ain't no luck. I work on that shit every day.
How about you?
It was interesting, man. So let's take a long look at this, man. Let's dive into this. I have no problem with John Wall saying what he said. You know, a person of his stature, you know, he's confident in what he does. You know, he's a ball player. And, you know, when he was at Kentucky, he showed it. You know what I'm saying? He went on in the podcast and was talking about, you know, he could have went to North Carolina. But he didn't want to go to North Carolina because he went there. He said something about Colin Hansberg. He didn't want to, you know, dap him up or something like that. And basically like, fuck you. So, you know, he went to Kentucky. But John Wall was the overall number one pick. So he can speak that way. But let's dive into what he said about that 2016-2017 Washington Wizards team when it comes to facing the 16-17 Cavs team. He basically said that they was going to beat the shit out of LeBron and the Cavs if they faced in that Eastern Conference. Well, there was a reason why y'all didn't face the Cavs, because y'all lost. And for you to go on record to say that y'all would have beat the Cavaliers, I find that far-fetched. Cavaliers was running through the East every year regardless of who they was playing. You said y'all would have matched up. Now let's take a look at this. When he said, John Wall said this, him and Kyrie, they gonna match up. Man, 16 and 17, Kyrie was that dude, man. And for John Wall to say that he would have matched up with Kyrie, basically canceled Kyrie out. Nah, John Wall, I like the confidence, but I got Kyrie over you. And then he went to the Trevor Ariza and LeBron matchup, which was no brainer. You know, he was going with Bron. Then he went to the Marquise Morris and Kevin Love matchup. He said he'll go with Kevin Love, but Marquise Morris can post you up and shoot the threes. What do you think Kevin Love does? When Kevin Love got to Cleveland, his whole game changed. So basically, Kevin Love in Cleveland was a rebounder and a stretch forward. He was the three-point shooter. Then, you know, he said he'll take Bradley Beal over JR, which he got that right. Bradley Beal does have more game than JR. But JR was in a situation where JR didn't have to be a Bradley Beal. JR just needed to play his role and be that strong corner guy or the top of the key guy for a catch and shoot three. Now, JR was a sniper. JR hit one, he see one go down. JR is going to continue to shoot. And playing with a guy like a LeBron James, you're going to find him. And JR was that sniper. And then he said he'll take Gortat over Tristan Thompson. Like Tristan Thompson said when they won the championship, he was a star in his role. Tristan Thompson played great ball. He was a star in his role. So for him to say he was taking Gortat over Tristan Thompson got playoff pedigree. He's been there. Gortat, I can't say that for Gortat. So for you to say that you're taking Gortat over Tristan Thompson, you got to say that because he was your teammate and you had the utmost respect for him. But you also had confidence in that team. Yeah, the games that y'all played through the course of that year, 1 and 2 point games. And then that one in DC where y'all had the game one and Bron hit that, 3-pointer bank shot, the pass from Kevin Love. And you said that LeBron said he works on that shot every day. Well, you got to look at it like this, John Wall. A lot of cats work on different shots for different situations because you don't know when you're going to be in that situation. We don't know if Bron works on that shot every day. Evidently, because the shot was a difficult shot for him to catch that, fade and turn around and shoot it and have his feet placed behind the 3-point line without going out of bounds. That's probably a shot that all NBA players work on in practice or in their spare time and when they're working out. You go back to when Ray Allen hit that big shot against the San Antonio Spurs, Game 6 in Miami, the walk back 3. Ray Allen said he works on that shot every day in practice. You don't know when guys are forced to be in situations like that, so they work on shots like that. So for you to say that he was full of shit, I mean, that's your own personal opinion. And my opinion is, I think guys work on different shots for different situations of the game. And you probably work on them same shots as well, because you don't know what kind of situation the game is going to present itself when that opportunity comes. You might work on a shot in a game. It might be a last second shot that you worked on and you hit it, and somebody could say, oh, John Wall, that was luck. And you're going to come back and say, nah, I work on that shot every day. But for you to say that it was luck, you don't know if that man's working on that shot or not. And then you say the bench was deeper. Let's look at this. The Cavs bench, you got to look at that 16-17 team. They had Channing Frye coming off the bench, which was a big man, a stretch 5 that shot the 3. He had Iman Shumpert coming off the bench. He was a corner deep ball pocket, shoot the 3. You also had Darren Williams, Olympic gold medalist, all-star. He could control the ball. He could run the offense. Y'all had Kelly Oubre. And who else y'all had coming off the bench? Bogey. So you say the bench was deeper. I don't think y'all's bench was deeper, man. I don't think y'all's bench was deeper. It's a reason why the Cavaliers made it to the NBA Finals, man. LeBron James has took his team to the NBA Finals for 8 straight years, 9 straight years, man. For you to sit up there on that podcast with a straight face and say that y'all to beat the shit out of the Cavs, I find it far-fetched. Also, you got to take into consideration they had the old Wally vet, Richard Jefferson. And I think Richard Jefferson had a response to what you said on that podcast. So John Wall, he stirred up a lot of things, but he did make some other good points about, the situation when he was leaving DC and they traded him and he went to Houston. And when he got to Houston, he said that James Harden was damn near had 1 foot out the door. He said as soon as he got there, he called James, and James said he was on the way to Atlanta to the baby's birthday party. John Wall said, I can't get on the flight with you, man. I got to do my press conference, man. I don't know how the organization works. I got to be on my best behavior. But the notion is of a guy of John Wall's magnitude to go to Houston and have to sit. But he was saying the likes of the Kevin Porters and the Jalen Greens, I don't know what them guys was doing in that organization, but John Wall made it abundantly clear that some of the stuff that they was doing, if they was doing it on other teams, they'd have been out the league. And somebody did make a comment. I think Austin Rivers did make a comment about Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. that they need an old Wally vet on their team to nurture them guys, man, to bring them up and show them the way, because both of them guys are skillful, man. They got a lot of talent, but I think they just playing off their raw emotions and their talent and don't have no guidance. Because there was a post-game press conference and they was talking to Eric Gordon one game, and he said that there hasn't been no growth in that team. So, Eric Gordon is in a terrible situation himself, man, playing in Houston, man. I mean, he could help a contending team out because he can still shoot the 3 ball and he's dependable. I know his career, he's been hurt and things ain't been going the way he wants them to go. Coming out of Indiana, he was a high recruit. But the things about it is, he's in a bad situation where the team's not winning. But I think they need to move Eric Gordon, but Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr., they do need a Wally vet to bring them guys along, man, because they're skillful, man. That's That's the face of the Houston Rockets. So John Wall, he had set out, but he was still making his money. And John Wall, he went through a terrible 2 years, man. His mother passed away. He said a lot of people that he was boys with, never reached out to him. He had some faithful friends that reached out to him. And then there was a situation where he said when Russell Westbrook, he called Russell Westbrook, and Russell Westbrook called him about a trade and stuff. When Russell got traded to DC for John Wall. And, I don't know what, type of relationship they got, but the way John Wall made it seem like he ain't trying to hear that shit, man. So John Wall's been bounced around, but I'm glad that he got that opportunity, to get out of Houston, on a contract buyout and, sign with a contending team. He's playing some big minutes with the Clippers, but unfortunately, he's hurt right now, an abdominal, injury. So, kudos to John Wall, man. But it was kind of funny that some of the stuff that he was saying on that podcast, it was kind of interesting, man. But, he just basically he's taking a shot at that 16-17 Cleveland Cavaliers team, talking about able to beat the shit out of them. We've seen in the past when Washington plays Cleveland in the playoffs. They never can get by them. The best opportunity y'all had was LeBron's, I think, 3rd or 4th year in the league, and y'all had Gilbert Arenas. That was y'all's opportunity when y'all had Gilbert Arenas, Brendan Haywood, and Antoine Jameson, and guys like that. And LeBron squeaked by you then. I'm saying? When Damon Jones hit that corner shot, to beat y'all. So it's like, the Wizards, they always match up well with Cleveland, but they just never could get over the hump. Y'all didn't have that one guy that could get you over the hump. And this is no shade to John Wall, but you wasn't going to be that guy in 2016 to get, y'all guys over the hump when y'all played Cleveland, if y'all would have played Cleveland in that thing. And the notion that you said a lot of Cleveland players know for a fact that they wouldn't have got by the Wizards. I find that far-fetched, but you did a great podcast, man. You had a lot of ears listening, man. You got a lot of people talking about that. And, the numbers are up, man, because you presented yourself well. You said what you wanted to say. Some of the stuff that you was talking was reckless, but I respect it, though. I respect any man that comes on that podcast and says things, because you're confident, man. You're a ball player. You was the number 1 pick, man. You got to be confident, man. So, kudos to you, man. So, to me, it was a great show. But like I said, it's a lot of guys that NBA players, man, that people be having on these podcasts, man, and be talking their smack. And it's a great thing to see because, back in the days, we didn't have the camera phones and the social media and things like that. But now we do. And a lot of guys have a platform that they can speak on. And I'm glad that, some of the things came to light, man, and that's how you felt, man. But, kudos to you on, your career, man. And I hope everything works out for you in Clipperland. You was playing well. You got hurt, unfortunately. But I think that's some of them injuries that you get are nick-nagging because you was out of the game for a year and a half, man. And you got to work your way in. But you was playing good ball, man. But, kudos to you, John Wall, man. But it's far-fetched, man. Cavaliers would have beat the shit out of y'all in 2016 and 17. It's just, LeBron James was just, he was playing marvelous basketball. Kyrie playing marvelous basketball. JR was shooting that thing. Shump was shooting that thing. Channing Frye was shooting that thing. Old man Richard Jefferson was doing his thing. Tristan Thompson was a star in his role. Tristan Thompson was the engine on that offense, the catalyst of the offensive rebounds and getting second chance, opportunities for Cleveland to, score the basketball. But I respect it, man. But, it's a lot going on, and kudos to you, John Wall. Once again, I salute you on everything that you said on the podcast. And now we got an interesting weekend of football, the divisional round. Tampa Bay finally got sent home packing. Tom Brady, it's time for you to go, man. And it's unfortunate that the bad game that you had got your offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich, fired. And the games that you win, everybody wants to talk about, oh, he's the GOAT and things like that. Rightfully so. You probably are the best quarterback that ever played the game. That's for people to debate. People going to say that because of longevity. You've been in the league all this time. You won all these Super Bowls. You came from New England. You won your Super Bowls there. Came to Tampa Bay, won a Super Bowl. But this year, I felt that you held the team back. And your play this past Monday night was unacceptable. And a lot of people have a lot of things to say about that because of some of the decisions that you made. You and Mike Evans wasn't on the same page. Some of the balls that you was throwing to Mike Evans was way behind him, in front of him, short. And then the interception that you had in the end zone, which y'all could have took the lead if your field goal kicker, if y'all scored, the field goal kicker makes the extra point because Maher just missed the extra point for Dallas, and it was a 6-0 lead, and your interception was the turning point. That was the turnaround, and that was the inspiration that the Cowboys needed, you know, to stop y'all on that possession, and then they went down and scored again. If anybody needs to go, it should have been Todd Bowles. I put this on Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles and Tom Brady caused Tampa Bay to lose that game. I don't think it's Byron Leftwich. Byron Leftwich, he was making them same calls, and y'all was winning. Y'all had a bad year this year. It's just Tom Brady. You just wasn't the Tom Brady of old, man. You just could not do it. So I don't know if you're going to retire, but I don't think you can do it no more in Tampa Bay. Some other team might give you a chance. There's other teams that need, you know, a quarterback. But Tom, you're not mobile no more. You can't. You're one-dimensional. So, Tom Brady, it's time for you to hang it up, man. But your offensive coordinator is gone, and I feel sorry for Byron Leftwich. But at the same time, Tampa is finally going. Dallas is moving on to play San Francisco and Brock Purdy. But San Francisco is one of the physical teams that they have a complete team, man. Defense, physical, offense, they got more weapons. They got a quarterback that's mobile, that can get out and outside the pocket and use his legs to get yards. We saw none of that from Tom Brady. And then, you know, you got the Jaguars playing Kansas City. You know, it's Kansas City, man. It's one of them teams, man. You still got Patrick Mahomes boy there, as Shay Sharp would say. But I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that Giants and Eagles game. That's two teams that know each other. And don't be surprised if the Giants can pull the upset. But I don't think they're going to pull the upset. Philly's going to move on. And, you know, we're going to get that Philadelphia and San Francisco showdown. And like I said, my Super Bowl teams will be Kansas City versus San Francisco. So, once again, you know, it's always a pleasure doing these podcasts. Thanks for everybody that's rocking with me. Thanks for everybody that's tuned in, man. Appreciate all the support. Like I said, tell a friend to tell a friend. Share the podcast. And like I said on a recent podcast about the Devontae Tank Davis and the Ryan Garcia fight, hopefully we're going to have some news soon that fight is going to take place. I know that Oscar said he needed a contract by Monday. I think a contract is shown, but I don't know if it's signed, sealed, and delivered yet. I think both parties are talking about it. Both fighters want to fight, but we're going to see. Then you got Adrian Brawner supposed to be fighting here in February. So Black Bill, K Prime. So it's a lot going on in sports, man. A lot going on with the NBA, and we're getting closer and closer to LeBron James becoming the NBA's all-time leading scorer. So, guys, y'all stay tuned. And once again, it's a wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. And, you know, like I always say, man, please like, comment, and subscribe. It only helps the channel grow. It only helps the podcast to be seen. And that's going to wrap up another episode. And we're going to catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.